Okay, so now we are working on exercise 8, which pertains to entering the information from field data sheets. And here's a picture of somebody related to me who has to enter a lot of field data sheets about information gathered on pond scum. But fortunately for you guys, you have to enter information into the Tribal Data Toolbox from field data sheets that are the sheets that you would take with you into the field. Sometimes people don't have field data sheets. Sometimes they use information in their logbooks, which is fine also, just as long as you make sure that you enter all the information. The nice thing about field data sheets is that there are blank spots, so it's obvious that you have to fill in information, and sometimes when you just enter everything into a logbook and you don't have blanks, then sometimes on some days you're more complete than others. So this is an example of field data sheets that are used by a tribe in the Phoenix area. And the way we've set this up for this exercise is if you look at the bottom, you can see each one of these field data sheets is an Excel sheet with its corresponding tab, and the name of the tab is the filter ID number. And first of all, you'll notice that it starts with filter ID 4294512, and as you probably have memorized by now, the filter ID that starts is 4294511, and we have 12 filters. So one thing that we need to take a look at is what filter IDs were field blanks, because those are actually carried out into the field but not placed into the sampler. But let's not put the cart before the horse, and let's take a look at the exercise. So the exercise says that we are going to be entering data from 10 field data sheets, and remember, you have to have a certain proportion of field blanks. So we've got 2 field blanks in this set of 12, and that's why we only have 10 tabs down here in the document that has the field data sheets, each with its own tab. So we've got 10 field data sheets, 5 that were placed in instrument 2, 5 that were placed into instrument 3 in August. And it describes the spreadsheet. And what happens when you enter information for the field data sheets into the toolbox is it remembers the filter ID. So it says make sure it is vital that you're entering information for the correct filter ID, and we'll look at that. So let's look at the field data sheets, and you could see that it has information like the site ID and all this information, and some of this information we may not enter. It may just be kept in the field data sheet. So let's take a look at the filter method monitoring tab, and that takes us into what we now know is this brown graphics that denotes that we're in the PM portion, the filter-based portion of the toolbox. Remember, first we entered the QC and maintenance check data. Then in the last exercise, we entered the chain of custody. First we entered the chain of custody for the unexposed tiered filters that we got from the laboratory, where they weighed the filters before they shipped them to us. Then we put the filters into the samplers in the field, and we entered that information into the toolbox. Then we went back into the field, retrieved the filters, picked them up, shipped them back to the lab, and we entered that information in the toolbox. So just taking a look at that, let's say that we want to make sure we did completely finish the last set of filters. So we're going to click on Enter Shipping Data from the Chain of Custody, and it says there are not any filters eligible for shipment data entry. What does that mean? All right, let's follow the directions, click OK, and then Show All Data. And what you see here now is, oh, here's the data I entered. Why didn't it show up before? Well, the way that the toolbox is designed is to try to make life easy for you and assume that you complete everything in for a filter, and you don't necessarily have to go back and correct it. So what it does is it filters most of the forms to show a new blank form when you open it up. Well, in this case, we have already entered. Look, if you look down here in the navigation area, you can see we're on the first record and it has all this information. So all you have to do is click this show all data, and you notice that there's this filtered or unfiltered toggle here at the bottom. So right now, if I click that and it shows filtered in orange with this button looking like it's depressed, it means it's only pulling up filter IDs that have yet to be shipped back, because that's what we said we wanted to enter. And it's telling us, nope, all the filter IDs that you've entered into the toolbox, you've already taken care of in terms of entering that you've shipped them back to the laboratory. So you don't have any outstanding filter IDs to enter. If I click this again or click show all data, it will remove that filter and show us all these filter IDs. Oh, okay, good. And I can click the last record button and then see, all right, it goes through the last filter ID and it shows that I shipped it. So good. So I entered all that information. So I'm going to click exit form. Now I'm ready to enter field data sheet information. So when I click enter field data sheet information, it pulls up a form that's blank, and I get worried right away at this point because I'm looking at the filter ID, and before I panic and think, where are all those filter IDs I entered? I can either press show all field data, or notice that down here the filtered button is depressed. So if I click on that, either one of those, I see, okay, the first filter ID I entered that ends in 11 is here, and it's got the filter type field blank. So I go to my field data sheet, and wait, it starts with 512. So I go back and look at the chain of custody, and this is what you have to do with PM2.5 filters. It's a lot of data management. And I find this filter ID and I see, oh right, this was a field blank. And because it's a field blank, I never put it into a sampler, which is what is recorded on the field data sheet. And so that's why I don't have a field data sheet for this one. So I'm going to say, okay, good. So I'm going to go to the next record by clicking down here, and I see filter ID 12. And now I'm going to take a look at the field data sheet 12, and oh, look at here, I entered this data already. And you could see that if you don't enter the information in the white fields, that's okay. Those are optional, but you notice all the yellow fields are filled in, and this should go faster than it looks. In your case, you may or may not want to copy the notes over. If you wanted to copy material over, you can do it just the way you'd copy and paste from one document into another in Windows. So I highlight that, Control C, and then I can put that in the comment field, Control V. So if you want to enter all the information in the field data sheets, you can. And they go through all the way through 21, and that will conclude then the data entry for the chain of custody and the field data sheets for PM2.5. At that point, you're finished with this exercise. So going back and looking at the exercise, I first of all take copious notes in my logbook, which in my case is a spiral binder of hundreds of notes, and then it says make a copy of the toolbox I'm working from and save it in the course backups folder and rename it. So I know that I am going to exit this form, and I'm going to exit this toolbox, and then I'm going to right click it and make a copy of it and then get it to my instructor.